We're back for our Catch Up with Coach series with women's basketball coach Mike LeViere. Coach, it's weird to say, but the season was just it seems like yesterday. We were going through this whole COVID thing, and we were out in Missouri, and the whole thing going down. It was just crazy. But thanks for carving out some time for us today.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Let's go back to this past season, and I want to go in particular to the region championship because it was such a defining moment, not only for the year, for the season, but really one of the best moments we've had in our women's basketball program history. I know a lot of people going into that region tournament looked at Pensacola as the favorite, and I know even in just conversations with you, it's not that you didn't have respect for your opponent or anything like that, but you continually told me there are ways to beat them, and there are ways for us to be successful against them. So just talk to me about that game plan that you guys had going into that region championship against them.
Yeah, well, the entire season I felt like we just had never performed against them the way we could and should. And for whatever reason, it had worked every time that we just didn't have a good, sometimes it was a good 15 minutes. Sometimes it was just a bad 6 minutes here or there. And I think we played them twice and had gotten beaten both times. One of those times we were up in the game and got beat, and then one time we never even competed. And so I felt like some of it was just in our head now that they'd beaten us twice, but I was pretty confident that we could beat them. And I felt like that game in particular, one, we had our seniors step up and play well, but we also had some really good play from some underclassmen like Jessie Ann had a really good game and some others. And so all the support was there, and we limited our mistakes. And we also had a defensive emphasis on knowing them a little better and taking them away from their game. And our focus on defense, I felt like, was really the determining factor in that game. Rachel Clark played a great game. Kylie Leffey played a great game defensively for us, and they shut down people. And so if you go back and look at Pensacola's stats, I mean, they're the player of the year that was voted player of the year. Lauren Alvarez had 0 points in that game. And for us to do that was special. And some of that, maybe she had an off game, I'm sure what they would say. But anytime somebody has an off game, it's probably due to what the defense is doing. When a hitter goes up and goes 0 for 6 in a game or something, it's probably because the pitchers were pretty good at that game. And so I felt like defensively was really where we stood out that game. And then offensively converted when we need to and limited our mistakes.
As we went to the national tournament again, it was one of those things where we came up a little bit short in that first game, but we actually had the opportunity to be the last game of the tournament. Just take me through. I remember being there and remember walking across the court, knowing full well from the rumblings that we had heard in the stands that the tournament was going to be canceled. But just take me a little bit through the thought process and the immediate reactions and emotions that were going through your head.
Well, one, it was bittersweet. We get to win the game, and then we don't get to play the next game. And anytime you're in the postseason tournament, you want to play the next game and finish as high as you can. But at the same time, it's nice to end the season on a win. And very few teams get to do that in a tournament. There's only a few, national champion teams that get to do that. So that was nice to be able to end the season on a win. I felt really bad for our seniors, most of all, because they don't get to, they didn't know they were playing in their last game. And at the time, we didn't know, was the tournament going to end that day or the next day or the next day? Were they going to let it run out? And so we didn't know it was going to be our last game until it was announced right after, as we're shaking hands, basically. It was announced the tournament was over. So that's kind of a unique thing where, to my knowledge, we were the last college basketball game of 2020. But the seniors in particular didn't get to have that closure, I guess, the mentality going into the game that this was their last game. When you go in and if we lose, this is our last game, or this is the championship game and that'll be the last game of our career. So then it hit them like a ton of bricks after the game, and so there was some emotions there. But I think those emotions were tempered with the, hey, we just won, and so there was some excitement over the victory. But Yeah, it was bizarre in some ways. It's like nothing I've been involved with before, and hopefully never will be again. But you never know. And we're all going through these. You hear the words unprecedented and uncharted times, and so that was one of those things that you try to roll with. You make the best of it. We had fun with it that evening in the hotel. We had a little ceremony and had some fun with the team, and so. Yeah, it was a good time, and it'll be memories that we all remember forever.
You guys didn't typically get the off season that you normally would have, at least the initial off season. How have things changed in terms of training, in terms of preparation in the off season, with everything that's going on?
Yeah, so we flew home the next morning and got back on campus about 3:30, and the majority of the team was gone by 5 o'clock. And so we didn't have our end of the year in person. Usually we would meet in person and talk about what that person needs to meet on or to work on during the off season, and we call it like some other people do. We call it improvement season here, and what do they need to improve on before next season? Where do we want them to show up in September and have them better at? So those meetings have taken place over the phone, and we didn't get to have our spring awards banquet that we usually do. We did that virtually and gave out our team awards, and then we just talked through things about we can view this as an obstacle or an opportunity. And so I heard a strength and conditioning coach say recently that they thought 70% of athletes, and I wasn't sure if this was high school or college or what, but 70% of athletes were being dormant basically during this time, and it was going to be tough to come back into a season. They were going to need some extra preseason and that kind of thing. And I challenged our team that shouldn't be us, that this was an opportunity to really focus on something. And if they can't get outside and get to a gym, well, let's get really, really good with dribbling with our offhand or whatever the case might be. And so our strength and conditioning, there's great workouts that you can do at home. And most of us at home have some minimal equipment, a barbell, dumbbell, some stretch bands, whatever the case might be. And we can do some pretty good workouts just with body weight as well. And so there's no excuse to not be in some pretty good shape. And without a lot of other things to do, a lot of us lost jobs or that kind of don't have the summer jobs that we normally would have. And so they have opportunity to spend some time focusing on, maybe their core strength, leg strength, increased range of motion, whatever the case might be for different athletes. And so let's take this as an opportunity to push forward and be better on the other side of it. And so that was the challenge to the team. And I think, we have students of great character here, and our young ladies on the basketball team are no different. And I expect that they're working hard.
This past season, we graduated some very key players on the team. You mentioned three of them that have had a significant impact on the court in Madison and Kylie and Rachel. And I know Jana has as well, and some others who have graduated and left the program. And as they graduate, we turn into a little bit younger team with new players coming in as well as the core returners coming back. So as you go into the upcoming season, what are you excited about in terms of the group that you have coming up this season?
Yeah, we talked about this as a team because it's eerily similar to when these graduating seniors came in 4 years ago. When they came in, we really needed some help. We had just graduated a big group. We're the most influential group, in our history to that point. And so we graduated, Julia Wright, Kendra Jeff Gott, and that group. And so when this group came in as freshmen, Rachel Clark played second semester, didn't play first semester. Madison Shoup wasn't at our school first semester, came in as a freshman second semester. So this group that's graduating, those two in particular, but others as well. Kylie was there. She was the only freshman there that whole year. And they ended up winning the regional tournament that year. And it was due a large part because Rachel Clark hit a couple shots late in the game and extended a lead for us. And Kylie contributed right away. We were pretty thin that year. We didn't have a large team. And so we had freshmen on the floor competing, and they had to step in and do that in order for us to win that regional championship. And it was neat for them to be able to win the regional championship on their way out as seniors, because that's how they came in. But the parallel that I drew for the team is that is a significant, a great loss. Starting with Jana, she impacted the team in a great way. Not as much on the court as some others, but and then you've got Madison and Kylie and Rachel, and obviously on the court, that was a significant contribution both offensively and defensively. I mean, I think they scored, I think it was 80 something% of our points in the postseason. And so, where's that going to come from? Well, that's a great opportunity for this next group to step up. And we've got a good group of incoming freshmen, but we've got a great group of returners as well. When we look through the list, they've gotten some pretty good experience both this year and last year. But, we've got Jesse Ann Weedman coming back, and of course, Grayson, our returning seniors with Grayson and Delaney, Charcy. I mean, those three are going to be big for us next year. But the underclassmen with Jesse Ann, with Bethany, with Tamra, Shay, coming back. We've got some pretty good experience coming back that I don't think is really being taken into account by a lot of people, because they're looking and seeing the seniors that we're losing and kind of assuming it's going to be a rebuilding year or whatever you want to call it next year. But I really don't feel that way. I really think that those girls I named, and probably some I'm forgetting here, but combined with the incoming freshmen, they're going to be able to step up and compete at a really high level, just like we were this year.
Last question for you, Coach. We're entering year 9, if you can believe that, of our basketball program. As you look back collectively on the program history, 2 region championships, a number of national tournament appearances. When you look back collectively, what do you think has been key to the success that we've had over the last 8 seasons?
Well, probably number one, I just say hard work on the part of the young ladies. Most of them come here. We competed for 4 years, I think it was, with in Division I of the NCCAA. We were competing against schools that gave out athletic scholarships, and just most of the time it seems like we're competing up. We're playing up, and they're competing against somebody who's taller, faster, stronger, whatever the case might be, more athletic. But we make up for it by working really hard and playing really good as a team together. And so, there's the saying, a really good team beats a team of really good players when the good players don't play hard. And so, we play hard, we play well together. And so they come in and they recognize the fact that they haven't arrived just because they've gotten a spot on a college basketball team. And instead, it's a chance to get better even. And so very few of our athletes leave here as seniors the same ability that they came in as a freshman. And so that's probably the thing I would point to, the most impressive thing, and the reason we've been able to compete at a higher level than what I think people would think we should be competing at based on who we are and the athletes that we bring in, or the athletes that are here. And the fact that we don't give athletic scholarships, but they come in and work hard, and so they advance themselves. I mean, they're already pretty good athletes when they come in, and I'm not trying to say that we don't try to bring in good athletes or that they're not, decent basketball players, but it's a big jump. It's a bigger jump going than going from middle school to high school. It's a bigger jump going from high school to college than that. And so, if you think when I went from 8th grade to 9th grade that I arrived, then you're not going to do very well in high school. And so, if you think that you've arrived when you get a spot on a college team, then we're probably not the program for you, because we want you to come in and work hard, and we have a great precedent of doing that. There's a great team culture of fostering improvement and buying into the team atmosphere, and so that's the big thing, I'd say.
Coach Mike LeViere of the women's basketball team in our Catch Up with Coach series. Coach, again, thanks so much for the time today.
Great to be here.